Yeah. So
I won't goof around, I promise.
You do whatever you need to do.
do you want to skip the 2008 thing? I just wanted to start from the beginning, like 1999, like
Yeah,
went to
I'm
college.
totally fine, and you guys can kind of pick and choose whatever you want. Like, whatever you feel is, like, the best approach, like, I'll answer any questions. I'm not
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I was, yeah, kidding about the age thing.
Yeah, no. It was just like you told me the whole thing about 2000. You said like, oh, like maybe there's like some issues with like how I started in 2008. I was like, okay, maybe we should avoid.
I crossed some lines back then, probably, like, being with a publicly held company and having my license active, but I was being smart about what I was doing with my career, so I was transitioning from same real estate, but you can't because it's a conflict of interest, and it was a movement,
Okay. All right.
if that makes sense. So I don't mind like, I can probably breeze through that if you need to. Yeah. How did I get from builder to real estate? Absolutely.
I mean, basically, it'll be the first question will be about how do you get from Ohio State to you were working at new home builders, right?
Mhm.
As sales. And then from there, how do you decide to get into real estate in 2008 specifically? Because like it was bad.
Oh,
Football.
yeah, yeah.
So that's why I'm like, how did she like decide from here to
Okay,
here?
to here, yeah. And I actually started, I mean, if you really look back, and I don't have it all in there because I did a lot of movement. I was in nursing school at Mount Carmel College of Nursing.
Before Ohio State or
Yeah.
okay. Can I ask like why you quit and like why you decided to go in a whole different route?
I think, like, the whole, a lot of the science classes, like, were overwhelming at the time. Physiology, bringing out those human bodies and the cadavers, like, I thought I could take it, but I'm a very driven, busy person, so and I don't like a ceiling. So it's like um, I kind of found myself, like, I love working with people, so I feel like that's why I was gravitating towards, like, the medical field and
Mm.
nursing and everything, like, helping people, right?
Yeah.
But, um I transitioned because of a bigger scale, like business. And in the midst of going to school, I happened upon a summer job with a builder. And my big thing was, hey, I'm going to be taking summer classes. And they said, great, you can be here, but,
Mhm.
and you can still study for your classes, but we want you here. So, like, I was dipping my toes into like science and sales, like, at the same time as like a part-time job. And then as I got further into it, it was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Was there like a moment where you were like, "Oh my gosh, I love sales." Like, because it had to be a pretty big moment for you to say, "I'm done with this career. I'm moving on to this." What was that?
I think my big change was I guess working in that field of, like, I was, with nursing, like, and taking those physiology classes, the gross part of it versus, like, I love taking care of people and helping them, so I feel like I took that nature that's within me, and I transitioned that into business and sales, and then I also saw, like, how much you can really impact people's lives because that's the biggest investment of your life is buying your home, right?
Yeah.
Or building wealth. I mean, real estate's the easiest way to build wealth uh, in the big picture, right?
Yeah.
Hand over fist. Um, e- so it was an easy transition for me. I really loved getting to know people, helping them. And I think that's what helps me now is um, having that compassion and not, yes, I'm in sales, right? It's real
Yeah.
estate, but I have that compassion and the drive to my MO is the people versus the sale. So, and I think that's where that kind of those lines get blurred
Yeah.
as I love taking care of people and making sure like that's my first objective is making sure that I'm meeting all their needs and taking care of them, even though it's financially, not physically. It's their life and their livelihood, and that
Mhm.
family, well, like health, everything kind of falls in line. So
Okay. Yeah, I understand. And then how did you decide from new home builds to real estate? Like how was that transition? Were you just realizing that there's so much more opportunity with being in real estate?
yes, I was being held back. So with new home sales, you are, stationed in one area. That's your expertise. and that's it. You have one neighborhood, maybe a couple that you can work with then, and um, within real estate, there's so many other things you can do from investing, building. I can still help build,
Mm,
buy, um, relocation, commercial even. So
yeah. I know I saw you guys do consulting on home building on your website, and I was like,
mm,
"Oh, that's interesting." You're still in the game even though it's, like, the freedom of being able to do that.
yeah.
With real estate, so you started was there a mentor? Like, someone that helped you get started, that taught you what you needed to know? Because 'Cause you're really big, you're a team lead now. Now you're mentoring other people, and I'm interested through your real estate journey, was someone leading you, someone guiding you on how to get started?
I will say it all kind of comes back to the home building industry. Tons of extensive training, which does give me an advantage. So, from putting on the hard hat, jumping into a foundation, learning every single thing it takes to build a home, and I had that guidance from they threw you almost to the wolves. You're there, and you have to learn every single. You're not just out there to sell a house. You can also build it,
Mm,
right? And that's how the approach was back then. And then who I worked under in sales, and the extensive training they used to make us go through, um, really guided me. I like to know everything about something before I'm able to educate people on it, right? Because if
yeah,
I can't educate you on something, I can't educate you on a house or real estate or construction if I don't know every single thing about it.
yeah,
And so having those mentors during that home building part and the guidance and the training, just learning every single thing I can about residential real estate, even though it was the building side of it. Think about like resale. When you're buying a home and you're going through home inspection, I can talk to you about windows, HVAC, all that stuff. So all of that training initially is what really set me apart, I
mm,
think. And then the guidance, shifting from new home sales into real estate, that was my own realization of like I could do so much more. There's so many more people I can help. I know or I felt like I knew everything then, and um, you know, I loved what I was doing, but I wanted to do more.
mm.
And so that's where I made that jump from being held back to just one community, one builder. Now, with real estate license, I can do everything.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit more, I wanted to do more. So
Yeah. And I'm interested, how did 2008 impact you as a realtor? Because you got your license. This is when you started with Keller Williams. Very big real estate crash. Home prices are falling. How did you deal with that?
I shifted. So it was a major market shift. I had to learn, foreclosures, short sales, and it was a whole different beast. So you had to learn how to work with banks, sellers when they're in that situation. So that's where like the compassion comes back because not everybody wanted to, lose their home during that crash. And so it was just making that shift into learning every aspect that I could that would help the home seller and the home buyer every step of the way. So perfecting that um, whole dynamic of, I didn't know I had owned real estate. I had bought and sold and I built, but I didn't know what a short sale was. And so like just learning every aspect of it. And so then I could help my clients, if they had to go through that, crash and take that loss. A lot of people did. It was just having that knowledge behind me that I could still guide them every single step of the way.
Mm,
And shifting through that downturn um it was interesting, but you learn a lot through it. And so like if we ever crash again, I'm not worried. I'll make that shift. If something changes, I will learn, whatever is put in front of us, um, and use that to help, you know,
mm.
my clients moving forward.
Has there been a tougher stretch for your career since 2008? Has it been getting easier since then? Or has that been, like, the hardest, most difficult period for you?
I would say that was the hardest, most difficult period, yes. A lot of emotions are flying, people, when the economy crashes, a lot of people suffer, right? Um, business owners, homeowners, everything. And so There's an emotional side to it, so I feel like I learned a lot through that, and it has been, definitely uphill from there, but again, another cycle. So and you'll yeah, probably get to that, but
Mm. But there hasn't been anything as bad as 2008 so far, even COVID,
no,
really?
COVID was amazing.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to get into your real estate career because I looked into it. There's this really crazy statistic, it blew my mind. 70% of realtors this year won't sell a house. You've sold almost $750 million of real estate in your career. Last year, $32 million. How have you succeeded in a market that's so cutthroat?
I would say, honestly, it is just the genuine following of again, it comes back to compassion and the emotion, taking care of those clients and knowing, and having that knowledge and that background. And it's not about the sale for me. It's not about the numbers. Um, to be honest with you, a lot of people ask like, how many units did you do? I can't tell you how many homes I sold. I can give you an idea on the volume. But it's genuinely just helping those people and getting, helping them capitalize on the market, whether they're, moving out of state, they're buying something, or they're downsizing, they're upsizing because their family's growing. There's so many different dynamics to everybody's situation. I think just being compassionate about that and being, having that empathy towards every individual's circumstance, backed by the knowledge that I've learned over the years, I think sets me apart from, and my team and, from everybody else.
Mhm. So how have you worked on maintaining relationships with those clients so they could remember that compassion you had during the sale? Because it won't be like you work with the client. It won't be like they may be buying another house or selling a house in 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line. How do you make sure they remember that compassion, that work that you put into them?
I think it's a white glove experience. Like we, as a team, and then me as an agent, and I teach that to my, the agents that work on my team as well. It's not about like we don't care if you're spending 100,000 or 100 million. It's that white glove experience, and it's taking care of you every single step of the way.
Mm,
And I think people tend to remember when you go that extra mile, and you do those things that stand out from everybody else. And having the knowledge and background, I think that really, it is not about like, okay, we found your house, you're in contract, okay, bye, I'll see you at closing. There's a lot that goes in between. And there's a lot that, my team does, but then I do as well. That keeps people coming back. They remember that, that people always remember, you know, what you said and what you did and how you made them feel basically is, and it's a journey. And it doesn't matter if you're, if it's a amazing situation or a sad situation or whatever it is, it's just making sure that you are compassionate about that and guiding people every single step of the way. It keeps them, coming back and
yeah, top of mind, basically.
top of mind. It's putting that individual and the family first, not. A home is like that's your biggest asset and that's your biggest investment of your entire life for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, that's where your home is, that's where your kids are, that's where your family is. I mean, you grow up, that's where you are, and that's what we focus on. So I think that that's our driving force and it shows. It's not about the dollar, it's not about the money, but that comes hand over fist. It does make us successful. It does make us that money, and it makes our clients, their investment and their return, great too from a monetary perspective. But I think it's the emotional side of it and making sure that they're just taken care of, um, in addition to the business side of it.
Mhm. So you really get down into the emotion of a home, of what it is. Is there a client in particular that if you can't share about it, you're fine. Is there a client in particular that truly taught you that lesson of what a home means to someone? Would you
Oh my gosh, I have so many. Gosh, this would be hard. I can't really think. Like, there's so many that come to mind right now, but um, making that transition. Like right now, I have a client that I sold their place that was here um, a few years ago and stayed in touch with them. And they live, across the U.S. on the West Coast. And they circled back, and they circled back because they still have family here, and they came to me, and the driving force was just getting them here and getting them close to family, and that whole, you know, I
Mhm.
guess that compassion part of it, and
Like, just wanting to reconnect again?
reconnect, yeah, and they remember, um, that connection initially, um, and so they appreciate that, I guess, I think moving forward.
Mm.
It's not a number. So when we talk numbers and things like that in volume, yes, we've done a lot, myself and our team, but it's more about the individual and the person and the family versus the number.
Like, the value
Yeah,
associated. It's more.
with it. The value is really in the individual or the family.
Mhm. And you talk about how real estate is connecting with people, how it's being compassionate to them. How did you do that during COVID when all of a sudden you have to be isolated with people? You can't just go and meet up with people. You can't just go and find clients. And more specifically, it's harder to connect with people, do a showing. How did you go through that?
It was, gosh, we went through a lot of changes and we laugh about it now. And I would say I think it was March 17th or like mid-March, 2020 to the first part of May. One of my agents that was on my team and we put 19 into contract during that, 6, 7 week period. And it was because we weren't afraid to go out. There were still buyers looking, and we followed the rules. So it's, okay, first it was take Lysol wipes and wear gloves.
Mm.
Don't touch anything. You're limited as to how many people can be in that showing. And it's just making sure that you're just following those guidelines and keeping people comfortable as they're navigate. I mean, because we were all navigating through a major shift, right? I had
Yeah.
2 kids in college, one in elementary school. So, and then all of a sudden, everybody's, moving kids out of dorms, like bringing somebody home, setting up homeschool, and making that shift. It's like the people that we're showing houses to and I was showing homes to, they're going through that too, but they still have the need to move. Right. So it's just making sure that we follow those guidelines and just keep it moving forward because um, a lot of us didn't have the time to, and unfortunately, some people were just shut down regardless because of the business they were in. And I was fortunate enough to be in real estate where we were deemed, an essential part of, the economy, I guess. And we were allowed to go out and allowed to help. And so if somebody has that need to move, it's like, okay, we're going to be there for you and we're going to make it work. And I think that um, is kind of what stood out. And it was definitely a different market. Yeah.
Yeah. And okay, I wanted to go back to now you're the leader of Team Shove. And I'm interested, how has it changed since you being an individual realtor to now being in charge of a group of people, leading them so that everyone is now contributing and everyone is able to go and have the contribution that you're making in the team? How do you go about that?
I think just educating them on every aspect that I can, that I know, beyond the scope of just selling a home. So breaking down the home, like the construction, the inspections. So like my construction side of it really helps me and my agents when it comes down to home inspections.
Mm.
And I think just guiding them and making sure that they're um, kind of following that same. And I lost her words now. We can cut this out of the filming.
Yeah, you're fine.
I guess following that same rule that I have is like you're taking care of the individual and family first and everything else later. And it's just focusing on the people um, and making sure that they're taken care of and they're meeting their goals. And it could be just totally numbers and finance. Yes, we have that with investors. That's all day long. But I think just making sure that they're set up for success and they're making the connection with people outside of just, we're not just selling you a home. We're here to help you every single step of the way. So like, I'm not just selling you home and saying goodbye. Like I'm a resource for anything. So, and I want my team to be that way too. So it is a matter of, if they're coming from out of town, they're not familiar with Central Ohio, I'm going to guide them, or my agents are going to guide them, based on where they're going to be working, where they want to live. Like, you know, what are your other needs outside of finding the home? Because it's a big commitment, it's a big investment, and it's just going above and beyond. I love the work, um, smarter, not harder mentality. I think everybody loves that, right?
Yeah.
But I truly believe in the work harder aspect of it when it comes to real estate, because it comes back to you threefold.
Yeah.
Um, because there's so many that just don't put in that extra effort of going the extra mile and extending that helping hand. Um, because I'm more of I'm an advocate, and um, I mean, we're here for more than just here's your house, you know.
Yeah.
Good luck. Do you need help with painters? Do you need help with contractors? Do you need help with, whatever it might be, navigating? It's a move. So it's an investment, but it's a move, and it's a lifestyle change for a lot of people. So
So you talked about how you're constantly pushing what a realtor can be through how you serve them, how you're able to show them value in what you bring, not just in selling a home, but in everything. How have you approached that with social media? Because a lot of realtors are now flocking to it. A lot of people are
yeah.
trying to post on it. They're trying to be the next maybe Ryan Serhant. How have you approached that?
We've tried to, and I will say that I could probably do better. We've tried to get more creative in our marketing. So, depending on the listing or what's going on, and just putting ourselves out there and getting the story out there behind us. It's not just like, sold, closed, and contract. It's, um, you know, putting a face with a name and personalizing it. Cause like we're not just real estate agents. We also have families. We have kids. We have homes. We have investments. We are also that driving force behind um, real estate as a whole, not just selling it, but we're buying and moving too as well. And we have things that are going on behind. And I think seeing that, real, raw individual, I think helps. Educating people too through social media, I think is huge.
How important do you think social media is for your marketing? Because I've talked with many realtors
Yeah.
as we work in a social media company for realtors specifically, and a lot of realtors say it's not for the clients. It's not for my clientele. A lot of realtors will go, my clients aren't on social media, and I'm interested to see, as you have sold to a wide variety of clients from $100,000 budgets to millions. How do you approach social media? How do you target? Is how you approach social media for your clients, because a lot of realtors say my clients do not aren't on social media. They're not paying attention to that. What made you change that?
I mean, definitely there are demographics that may or may not be into social media, but I think as a whole, if you look at the entire world and what you're advertising, everybody looks at whether it's some source of social media. I mean, the news is social media, right? Print, social, in a way. I think just standing out and being something different, adding something of value or entertainment, even, I think is huge for especially, listings that are, maybe of that higher luxury end. You have to have something that kind of stands apart from everybody else. The world of social media is huge, as you guys know, and I think doing something different, taking a different approach, and trying to incorporate that into our business and our social media has been something that we have been continuously working on, and has definitely helped. Um, just kind of broaden that spectrum of, yeah, social media is saturated, right? And so it's like, what can we do to be different?
Mhm.
Um,
How have you approached social media to market yourself specifically? Because with marketing the Shoaf team, how do you approach it for yourself as a realtor? Are you approaching it in a way to educate people and to show the real life of you? Or do you want it to be strictly with educational or strictly just with realtor things? Or how do you balance, I don't want to expose too much of myself online because I have my own personal life, but I also want people to know me on social media.
Absolutely.
How do you balance that?
I for a long time it was hard to because I've been in the business a long time. So I'm before social media time, right?
Yeah.
Um so it was hard to make that transition. And a few of my agents too, the same thing. It's like we have our personal lives and it's like and we had our work social media, right? And my big thing and over the last few years was, what guys like we're people. And so we need to combine that and we're seeing every aspect of our clients' lives for the most part. We're diving into it and we're helping them through a big purchase and, big investment in their life. Like they need to see us too. And I think that has been my biggest eye opener of like they need to see the real, raw us. We are people. We do have families. We have spouses. We have children. We have pets. And I think just kind of incorporating that because we're not just real estate, we're just like our clients.
Mm.
No matter what level they're at, is like just, you know, having that real rawness of we're not just selling homes here and there, like whatever it might be, or commercial real estate or, not sold, closing contract. It's like we're real people. And so incorporating that into and combining our social media has been I think a big step for every agent on my team is like, you know, you put your life out there because we're seeing everything about them. Why can't they see into our lives?
Yeah, and it's important
I think
how.
it's a balance. I think it's equal. Like, and it makes people feel more comfortable because we know so much about them, and we need to in order to be able to help them appropriately. But um, I feel like it opens up that window of trust and reliance, and they know we're also people,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
just selling real estate.
Have you cut back on your other methods of marketing because of social media, or have you focused specifically more on social media because of what you see and how it exposes you versus other ways of marketing? Or do you still believe in, let's say, like sending letters out or doing cold calls? How have you balanced those with marketing yourself on social media, putting time and resources into that versus other methods that are, I wouldn't say inferior, but they're just more traditional methods of getting
Exactly.
clients?
So I would say that I still do a combination, but our biggest focus is online and social media, whether it's Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, all of those, because that's where the world is right now, right? That's where we get all of our resources. Everybody, it's like if you can't figure it out, you're going to Google it. Or if you can't find something, you're going to. And so, like, how can we be a big presence online? But you still have like a little bit of the sector of, maybe some of the traditional stuff, but I've pulled away from that a ton um, because online is just that's just where everybody's going, right? It's like how many times you go out to your mailbox and you pull a bunch of stuff out, you look at it briefly and it's in the trash, right? But if you're online, you're scrolling through it and then if something catches your eye, you're clicking it.
Mhm.
And mail, it's like so redundant now, you can't really
Stand out.
no, you can't stand out. So it's like how can you stand out more, like so to speak? And social media definitely is a huge asset to us.
Mhm.
And I think everybody moving forward, I think you might be way too young to remember, but I was a huge advocate for like when the whole internet came out and people were internet advertising and doing websites and starting in the social media realm, like there are big companies out there that failed because they were reluctant to get into that social media and the internet world.
Mm.
And they were big corporations that are now no longer. and it's because they did not take the time to make
And
that change. Yeah. You have to shift with the world. I mean, the world's growing, the world's changing, so it's you just kind of grow with whatever's in front of you. So now it's social media, and everybody's doing social media, and it's like, okay, well then if everybody's doing it, how can we be different?
okay, and you talked about shifts. When did you make that shift to focusing more on social media versus traditional methods? Do you have like a story or testimony where you realize like this is the next thing? Like, yes, mail is important, reaching out to clients on the phone is important, but this is what's going to be the future.
To be honest with you, and this is gonna sound like you guys paid me to say this. I met Timothy and was and he was very new into the business, him and Nick, and just those constant conversations of getting our story out there and standing out and being something different and doing the filming and doing the educational spots that like it's not we're not pushing this listing or we're not, you know, really selling ourselves, that we're just educating people in communities or anything that has to do with the lifestyle of where we're at, and where you are investing and building and buying your home. So I think um, the push from him was huge for me because it did make me realize like, hey, we need to get more out there and be on the forefront because media is so saturated, social media is so saturated, and it's kind of crazy because anybody can go online and say whatever they want, right? And
Yeah.
put it out there on social media. You know, I'm the best real estate agent ever. I'm this luxury agent. Or I'm the best. Whatever. It's the best car out there. It's the best pair of shoes, and it's like a lot of people buy into that. But it's like, okay, how can we stand out and be different, but still have that drive to where people they realize it's not only are we saying that, we're proving it. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
doing it on the back. Like we're proving results as to or we're showing results with what we're putting out there too as well.
Mhm. And then, wow, actually, I did not know that's how you guys got started. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to know, how do you balance showing and balancing the act between social media? I wouldn't say like you're putting up like a face or anything,
Right.
but how it is what appeals to the younger generation does not appeal to the older generation. And I've heard of people being like, I don't want to go and be doing this because this would be going against the older generation and I want to focus on the younger generation. And then I've heard vice versa, where it's like, I want to focus on the younger generation, so I'm going to do these trends and I'm going to approach social media like this. And then they get turned off from older generations. How do you
Yeah.
balance that where do you focus on one specific group, or do you just make content that's for a broad audience?
I would say a pretty broad audience, and not crossing the lines one way or the other to and just be inclusive of everybody in their needs. Obviously, there's when you're in marketing and advertising or sales and in social media, yes, you do have a certain clientele that you want to attract. And I think we do make shifts based on, what we are trying to put out there and what we are trying to educate. Obviously, um, a video for a first time home buyer is probably not going to be for somebody that's buying, their sixth, seventh home or they're investing in a multi-million dollar property, right? So there are times where we do make shifts in what we're putting out there, but as a whole, I would say anything that we can do to educate people on, the market, the areas, what we have to offer, what we do as a team too to kind of stand out in a broad spectrum is huge. Because yes, you can cross that fine line of like, okay, what's going to appeal to one and versus another, and I think we try to put both out there. We try to balance it, and it all comes down to what are we trying to get out of that?
Mhm.
I guess, and who are we trying to reach? Yes, it's great to reach the masses, but you can't always do that um, with marketing
Yeah,
because you are targeting a certain,
certain people.
yeah.
And I kind of wanted to focus now more on the future
Mm.
of the Shove team. how do you see the Shove team approaching not even just social media, but the real estate market in general? May it be 1 year down the line, 5 years down the line. How do you see the future, and how do you plan on building the Shove team to greater success? Like, what would you consider the goal of the team? Do you have a certain number, or is it a certain amount of team members, or is it just continuing what you guys do best for every single client?
I would say continuing what we do best for every single client all the way. That has been my MO. And being that real raw person. So whether it's getting us out there on social media, is putting us in front of people, but I love building the rapport just being face to face. So that's where I come in and am more traditional of like because you can get online and click on anything, right? And
Mm,
you can pay to be at the top or whatever, but it's just having that level of trust, letting them know like how long we've been in the business. I mean, the tenure of my agents on my team is unsurpassed. We have over, I think if I put it together now, if everybody, we're approaching 55, 6 years combined experience in the market. And that, 750 million in sales falling under, me and some of my team. Like if I added on all of my team and all of their sales prior to me, we're surpassing $1 billion all day long. So I think having that out there, just the knowledge, the experience, it's our full-time job too. So we're not doing anything else but real estate.
mm,
And I think getting that out there and we're always looking at perfecting that. So like what else can we learn, right? I,
mhm,
I think I talked to you like I need to know everything about everything. So like I need to know how to build a house. I need to know about construction. I need to know every single thing because otherwise I'm not going to be that source for my clients and I want my agents to also have that ability. And so I think growing just the education part of it is huge. And then getting it out there to let people know that we have such a huge, broad spectrum background of buying, selling, investing, building. No matter what it is that you want to do in real estate, we can help you with it threefold.
mhm. Makes sense. And how would you so you've been a realtor for a really long time, and how do you see the future of the career for up and coming realtors? Because a lot of people I've heard it say, "Oh, real estate, don't go into it. It's too saturated. There's way too many realtors. It's not possible to succeed." How would you go and give advice to realtors that are just starting out? People that just like you, maybe finished college, maybe are done with college, and they want to get into this kind of industry.
I would say stop looking at the monetary aspect of it and start caring more about the people because that's where you stand out and that's where you get the repeat business and the referral. Because if you do truly care about your people, um, your clients, whether it's a seller or buyer, and you have the education to back it and the experience, you're going to grow from that. And it's going to help you tremendously moving forward as opposed to um, that the number or the dollar sign. It's honestly truly caring about the client no matter what their goal is, buying, selling, investing, building. It's investing your time into that versus looking at the end game. Like, yes, we want to help you make a good investment, right? We want to make sure they make money, but don't worry about you're worrying about your client first and foremost, more so than the dollar amount or the money or that end game. So it's how much can you learn about real estate so you can truly educate your buyers, right, or your sellers,
Mhm.
um, and and then also care, like just care about the individual, and less about yourself, and it'll come back.
How do you see it differently? How do you think the industry changed since you've started? Has it been more of people trying to pursue that monetary value of, oh, I can make this much, let me get this client, I could sell this house for this much? How do you think it's changed since almost 2008 when you first got your license?
Yes, yeah, yeah, a huge change. I mean, when I first started the business and building, it's like we had an office phone, and now we're in a microwave world, right? At everybody's um, disposal 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And yes, you are in business for yourself. You're a self employed individual. And I think that, um, people look at it as it's a flexible job, and it is. But if you truly want to be busy and you want to do the volume and you want to take care of people and you want to do well, you can't limit yourself on, okay, I can do this job because then I can do all these other fun things for whatever the flexibility of it. There's a lot of work that goes into it,
Yeah.
versus somebody that's looking from the outside. You're not just selling a house and they're closing on it and you're moving on. It's a process and it takes a lot of time and there's a lot of stuff in the in between that people don't see. Um, and I think investing in your education about real estate, the market, homes, whatever you want to focus on in real estate, knowing every aspect of it, that way, otherwise, how are you going to educate your clients?
Mm.
How are you going to educate a seller or a buyer?
Mhm.
They're coming to you for your level of expertise and they're paying for that service. And so if you don't have that, what do you have to offer?
I wanted to wrap up the podcast with your future, specifically Terra Shoaf. Where are you going with the real estate game? Because a lot of people would say you're almost at the top. You're in the top 1% of Ohio. And I'm interested, what do you see in the future of real estate for you specifically, not with your team,
Yeah.
and how you are approaching it? Is this something that you're retiring on, or is it you're trying to find someone eventually that's going to take over the team, maybe it be one of your children, or if you would want him to be would you want one of them to continue on your team? How do you see the future of your career personally? How do you think it'll go?
Personally, I do see myself continuing to grow, but then growing my team and I love coaching and educating agents. So helping them learn every aspect of the build business because I mean, there's what 9,000 some agents licensed in Central Ohio. And making sure that you stand out from the rest is getting that knowledge, getting that basis behind you in order to be able to truly take care of clients because that's what's going to build your business hand over fist. Um, and continue on that success. So me personally, I would love to continue to do what I do, help my obviously sell real estate, grow my team, but grow it with agents with the same vision that I have
Mhm.
um, in this business. So I think that's huge. And who knows? You might see me. I mean, I'm already building and investing, so you might see some bigger things come out in the next few years. So yes, I'm kind of reaching out there to other aspects of real estate, but my main focus is my team, making sure they're doing the right thing by the clients. They're learning every aspect, and we're growing from there. So I'm not going anywhere anytime
Mm.
soon. And I will say I am still growing, and I think it's going to be a lot faster and a lot more exponential. Obviously we've all had slowdowns if we started in the business years ago. Between the crash and COVID and the shifts and all that stuff, it's just um, figuring out how to navigate it and just continue to grow. I've always just continued to grow. So like I'm never gonna stop growing.
Mhm.
And I want to see that for my team and my agents too.
Mhm.
I don't see my kids going into this business at all.
Is it just their personal choice or is it your recommendation?
It is not my recommendation. Who knows where my son will end up. He's a senior in college right now, and he's got a taste of like building and developing in the commercial side of it. And I think that might be somewhere he grows, but it's a lot of work. And I think they've seen the amount of work that I've put into building this business. And in today's world, there's a lot of people that don't have that drive. And not that my kids don't, but it's a 7 day a week, sometimes you're 8, 10, 12, 15 hours a day. You have to have that commitment.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I think that it takes a unique individual to be able to be in this business, be successful, and continue to grow.
Mhm.
So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see where they go.
Yeah. Now, I really like the part where you talked about commitment, especially your commitment to come out here, come on this podcast, to be able to put yourself out there. Not a lot of realtors are doing that. And even in that, you're approaching social media in a different way that's making you stand out. And I really wanted to say I appreciated that.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed our conversation.
Yeah.
And I wanted to
Thank
say
you.
thank you for coming out.
Of course. Thank you. Yeah, this was fun.